Tēnā koutou katoa. Welcome to anyone who is tuning in with us this evening to Botany of Desire, the second to last panel for the Making Connections event, I believe. My name is Val Smith and I'm co-hosting with Pavle. And I'm just going to do a little kind of intro, bring us together, and then open up for maybe some quick introductions before sharing of what people are wanting to share. How does that sound?
Awesome.
So yeah, just acknowledging Ngāti Whātua Kaipara. I'm tuning in from Helensville, Te Awaroa, South Kaipara, on the edges of Tamaki Makaurau. And I'm right next to a beautiful snaking river, and out the window behind me is the moon just past the halfway mark, starting to swell up. I'm aware it's autumn equinox, or just passing over where we are, and other people have other seasonal and time experiences. So it's 9 p.m. here. Ko Val Smith tōku ingoa, they, them, Pākehā. And yeah, I'm just really happy to be here and see all of your faces and excited to share time with you all. Maybe I should also just acknowledge and a huge thanks to, especially to Alice, because you are a bit of a kind of an antennae-like being that is really good at bringing people together, and yeah, just a moment of gratefulness for everything that you are and the ways that you kind of love us all and bring us into connection and communication together. And also, of course, an ongoing big thanks to Jeffrey Holdaway, and to acknowledge Kate Stevenson and Chris White from DotDot, who have the website going up, and Linda Knight as well, who perhaps is tuning in, I'm not sure, from RMIT, Melbourne. Yeah, that's all I can think of. So maybe passing over to you, Pavle, and then opening up to the panelists, of which we have Janaina Morez, Adam, sorry, I haven't got your hyphenated married name.
Boone Prakob Norton.
Yeah, amazing. Person I've seen you since then. Alice Longley, another panelist, and Pavle and I, who I'm not quite sure what we're doing other than co-hosting.
Is it me? Hello. It is 9 a.m. where I am. My name is Pavle. I go by Pavle or Pav. My pronouns are they, them. I am neurodivergent. I'm autistic, and I have ADHD. And that is a fact of life. What I would like to say, also, I really love to say that I was born in a country that doesn't exist, because that seems topical and true. I currently live in Stockholm, Sweden. The sky is overcast but kind of bright. I almost want to put sunglasses on when this white, bright, dispersed light blesses us all. And when Alice and I were working together during the pandemic, we one day got this. We had this idea to look for this website that tells you what part of the planet is directly opposite from where you are. And we found out that Stockholm and Auckland miss each other by a tiny, insignificant margin compared to like the size of the planet. So basically, what we're doing right now, Val and I, is holding the Earth between our bodies. So maybe one part of what we're doing is just that for this hour. I think that's a really lovely thing to think about. Yeah, I'm very, very excited to be here. And I am very aware, Val, that you once mentioned a poem. And I imagine that we would host a poem in this stage. So just before I give my word to somebody else, I wanted to check, would you like to do that now or not? I am totally going out on a limb here. So please say yes, no, maybe, tomorrow, yesterday.
Yeah, I would love to. It seems appropriate to share from Paul Paschal's, who was going to be hosting this panel. Their book of poems called Love to All Lovers. So for our little touchstone poem, this is called Snow. When he opens the door for me to leave, we see that the street is covered in thick white snow. It's as simple as that. A few hours of touching and being touched in the close, quiet warmth of his home, and the world is transformed.
And maybe to that, my last thought would be that the other thing that I was very aware of when you were talking, Val, earlier is how you're entering the fall season and we here are approaching the spring. I don't know, so something about entering and transforming, and I got this kind of feeling of, equilibrium and how the seasons pass over. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I feel like, we're in balance. It doesn't matter where we are, but at this time where there is a kind of a balancing, it's sensing into balancing perhaps.
I like to fantasize about how when we are making art, we are engaging in a sort of regulatory process with the world around us, and specifically with exploring transmedial, pluriformed forms. I really wonder how we evidence something of that calibration with the world, and maybe this is like, I'm really thinking in real time here, but maybe that's the opportunity here as we like, as you share your works, that maybe we are learning about different ways that we get to recalibrate or calibrate ourselves with the world. And then the joy of being artists is that we get to choose how we do that. We don't have to follow. I mean, we can, and we do, but we don't have to, and we don't follow. prescribed orders just because somebody told us to. Maybe that's how I will be listening today. I'm very excited now.
Maybe I introduce myself?
Yes.
Okay. Hello to whoever is watching and who is present on this panel. My name is Adam. I am currently living in Melbourne, Nam. I am in North Melbourne. And right now the weather it's a bit cooler than it has been. It got up to 39 degrees a week or two ago. And that was intense. And it was amazing to experience how heat like that can affect your body and how you just engage with the world. I go by he, him. I am here to present some excerpts from my video performance that I did for my master's research at the University of Auckland last year. And in fact, I think everyone on this panel was in some way included in that research, be that practically or theoretically, or I don't know, other ways. Yeah. What else? I think I am excited to see what unfolds tonight. Tonight for me, 7 p.m. And to hear what other people have to say, and to have a chance to share something that I felt really I felt really passionately about, and I think something that I was so immersed in for throughout my time researching that I haven't yet really had a chance to share that elsewhere outside of the university context. So this is going to be a really good opportunity, I think, to open up my research and my performance into other realms, into other spaces. Yeah.
Beautiful. Kia ora.
Maybe I go next, introducing myself. Tēnā koutou katoa. Thank you so much for having me here. It's really exciting to just reconnect with friends, primarily, and with people that I really admire and I'm inspired by. Ko Janaína Moraes Tako Ngoa. My name is Janaína Moraes. Meu nome é Janaína Moraes. I have been back to language school, which is a nice thing to be doing. We're slowly trying to practice my te reo, which I feel really privileged by having the time and space to step into new world of learning through acknowledging the language of the land that I'm currently a guest for quite a while now. So I've been living in Aotearoa for 4 years. I come from Brazil, and I am now living in Otautahi, Christchurch, in the South Island. So a bit far away from where I landed first, back in Auckland, and just experiencing, the acclimatization, feeling the changes that happens through my body, as I come closer to the south. Um, um, and yes, I feel quite also excited to reconnect with my work in this other context as well, Adam. I feel it's always a process of reorienting and relearning and listening again. It's quite common that we as artists can generate a lot of materials and be quite playful around the notion of creating, whatever this means. But it feels quite exciting to be able to return to listen and learn back from what is already around. And it feels quite a privilege to make space for this and to feel that there is a space for this to be shared. So quite excited as well to see how the conversation unfolds and to return to some materials that somehow we got to experience in different iterations. So really excited.
And I'm here also on Ngāti Whātua land in Tamaki Makaurau in Birkdale. Birkdale is a suburb of 11 streets. I think it might be the smallest suburb in all of the city. My children are quiet, which is a small miracle. Ko Alice Longley Takawingawa. Just thinking, I feel like I'm in the wake of like the creative processes that I've been part of with each of the people here, with Adam, with Pablo, with Jana, with Val, like feeling the like when we thought of this panel, it was about affinity and interconnectedness. And we were thinking with Paul, who kind of sprouted the seed for this panel and then wasn't able to be here, but in Paul's generative absence, it's such a thrill to be thinking together and being together in time, and just thinking about what an incredible, profound thing it is to be able to be together in time for this precious moment, because I haven't been together in time with Jana, with Adam, with Pav for longer than I'm used to in my body. And so like to feel that sense of being in time together across the world, held the world in its axes, held by, like, I feel like Val and Pablo also, like there's times when you feel like you hold me and, you're the two axes, and so it's like, geographically, but also psychologically, emotionally, affectively, that kind of like gravitational fields of interconnectionness that allowed things to move, or that give the world its gravity, I guess. So yeah, it's lovely to feel time together again. Thank you for being here, my friends.
Beautiful. Oh, it's so nice to just take in all of your voices and to really kind of soak in your faces. Like, it's so delightful and delicious. I was kind of in the lead up to 9 p.m. I was feeling like I was going to a party or something. So I prepared 3 different beverages. I've got like a mocha, coconut water, and a berry cider. Yeah, so that's the kind of vibe that I'm bringing. But maybe also just to plant a little seed from the title, because it did sort of sparked some joy and inspiration in me, botany of desire, thinking about a plant's eye view of the world, because, you know, I Googled it and I was like, oh, there's a whole documentary that uses this title, and I don't know if that was what was being referred to, but it really started me thinking about some of my processes around communicating with plants from a trans perspective. Yeah, so I've got like quite a few plants around me at the moment that are part of this conversation as well. And I see Pablo's got a beautiful monstera. Lovely. So yeah, just to plant that seed, and oh, gorgeous. Oh, it's still light there, Adam.
It is, yeah. It's a nice Melbourne.
I know there's a couple of planned shearings, and I'm aware that time will just so I'm not sure if it might pay to kind of move along to those or move towards that, so that we have some time to kind of touch tendrils in and around.
I'm happy to share first.
Would you like us to keep time, or would you like to take care of your own time?
I've kind of timed it so that it's about 8 minutes. Yeah, but do let me know if I go too far. Let me get set up. Okay. Okay. Can everyone see this video that I'm playing? Great. Okay. I'm just going to load up another file. Cool. Okay. Trying to just go back to myself now. How do I do that? Oh yeah, that's good. I think Jeffrey's working his magic in the background. Okay. So I think as I didn't to begin with, I would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which I am living and pay my respects to their elders past and present. I extend my respect to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders, Torres Strait Islander people here today. So in this presentation, I respond to moments from my performance work, Sense Another, performed at the University of Auckland Dance Studios and Albert Park in Tamaki Makaurau, Auckland on the 27th and 28th of April 2023. This performance score was created out of a, that's on mute, I think. Oh, there we go. This performance score was created out of a series of bodies: fungal, queer, object, poetic, choreographic, and headphonic. These evolved a series of collected choreographic actions that responded to text, sounds, and sensations in a public space. In its attempt to blur distinctions between human and place, this score actively discarded conceptualizations of the body as individuated. The choreography embodied trees, grasses, stone, statues, and stories to explore closer relations with more than human others. This performance was the creative outcome of my master's research and was filmed and edited by the wonderful Yin-Chi Lee. So now I'd like to share some segments from that video of my performance. And I'm going to then respond to those through some poems that I have written in response to each one. Okay, I'll turn the volume on.
As we reach this wall, get close and observe life that calls it home. What does the wall feel like? Lichen has spread over it, a symbiotic multi-organism. Take a breath in and breathe out. Start to notice the air passing in and out of your nostrils.
Just trying to present the other slide now. Thank you. A fungi-algae collaboration, skin to stone, feeling volcanic rock. I move with wool, flesh on mineral, a maze of moss, sensing into rock time. And I'd like to continue with the video now. Just going to skipping ahead.
One such monument is the statue of Queen Victoria, built in 1897. This park also gets its name from her husband, Prince Albert. While commemorating the legacies of these figures, there is no recognition of Aotearoa's indigenous, feminist, and queer histories.
Take it, Jeffrey, you're in control of putting up the other slide. Thank you. An army barracks in 1845, then a Victorian park. For some, it is called Rangipuke, once a village or papakainga. Stories remain buried beneath statues and pavement, alive in giant trees. Back to the video, please.
This tree is used by some for sheltering. Respectfully sit, lean, or lie, and try to get in touch with it. Observe what others are doing, and allow yourself to copy them.
Back to this other slide, Jeffrey. Thank you. Lying, sitting, standing, weight pouring as body meets body, non-human supporting human, providing shelter and comfort. Back to the video, please.
In your own time, make your way off this tree.
Any other slide? Thanks, Jeffrey. Invite being seen, all 37 trillion cells, as electromagnetic waves transmit between viewer and performer, headphones and radio signals. Who is watching who? A private event in public terrain, navigating around, beside, and across other bodies, coexisting and cooperating. And the video again.
Discover this tree and peer inside its cavities. Can you sense what happens below the surface into its roots where mycorrhizal networks transmit through the wood wide web? Underneath this park, there is a network of air raid tunnels built during World War II. So much lies below the surface that we cannot see.
And the slides, thanks, Jeffrey. Holes and darkness, my holes and tree holes, tunnels below, entry and exit points, mycelium movement in a field of communication, spreading out in every direction. We are many and more. A collective neural network. And the video, please.
Leave your fingerprint on this tree as we continue towards the band rotunda, built in 1901.
A collective neural network, horizontal and circular, vibrating tones of queerness, tuning into affect, becoming embodied and embedded with other marginalized voices, repeating, softly louder. And I'll just let the video play until the end if we've got time. just about 1 minute.
Recently, there was a trans rights protest where a large crowd silenced anti-trans rhetoric. Other events have supported marginalized others and sought closer relations with non-humans. In your own time, loop the rotunda.
Cool, that concludes my presentation. Thank you.
It was so nice to revisit some of those tactile experiences, and just lots of memories kind of flooding back from that experience.
That's what I feel as well when I watch it and seeing, and I kind of now miss all those people who I'm more further away from. But it's nice to revisit them and to see them in that, from that moment in time.
Maybe should I share mine and we can keep the conversation going?
Yes, please.
I think Jeff has my video, and maybe just before we play, sorry, I'll just give a quick context and then the video will do the rest. This work is called Assistir Árvores. It started firstly in 2018 in a collaboration with my Brazilian friend Fanny Magalhães, and it pretty much became a work that it came into existence for sustaining our friendship, really. And once I moved to Aotearoa in 2020, in between the lockdowns, so once we had our first actual moving out of one of the lockdowns, the big one in Auckland, I had the opportunity to reiterate and find practically create new connections and networks from distance with Fanny, but also finding the connections and friendships in Auckland to do this iteration of Assistir Árvores. So that's just a little bit of the context of how it came to be, and also documented by the amazing Inchi Lee, who is always reiterating and transforming the archive into an artwork itself, I guess. So that's me for now. Thank you, Jeff. I really appreciate doing things that I used to do back home in this new place I live in. For one, I can notice the presence of trees, how they are everywhere. So familiar but still so particular. You know, back home it was with trees that I learned to pay attention to a tiny word from my mother tongue. Assistir. Assistir in Portuguese has a double meaning. It's active verb, to see, to watch, observe, look. But it is also Portuguese verb for assistance, being present in a situation or being disposed in relation to something. Assistindo árvores. assist seeing the trees. I have learned how to recognize, reconhecer, as the ability to know again, conhecer de novo, as if it was the first time, becoming aware of other perspectives. I have noticed a few things with this procedure. For every act of assistir, observation, there is a potential of assistance. Sometimes the best way you can assist is by slowing down activity and offering energetic observation, attention, visibility, gaze. The way you see something changes the way you are being seen. To make something seen is a powerful compositional assistance. Everything that you see is potentially seeing you back. Then what changes once you acknowledge that you are being seen? You are seen. Extending the movement from seeing to assisting requires cultivation and acclimatization. So it requires attentive relationship throughout time and flexibility to the changes that a new season and a new land brings. Move árvore, move perna, move, move, move. Branches, legs, finger, tips, over the ground. I move, eyes, moving to see. Like I move like I needed, move. I, for a long time, minhas movências não pedem sentido. Eu sinto, seeing, sensing, feelings come and go, and all that I can do is follow. Então eu sigo. Minha vontade é ir. I want it all, and I wanted nothing. I sense mixed feelings, and I am moving. Movo, me, just relying on. Não tenho desejo tão presente como esse agora, to keep moving with no sense rather than the sensing of feeling, fullness. A materialidade das palavras pesa sobre mim, escorrem sobre o meu corpo, desejando encontrar comunidade. Materiality, words, wait in me. Desiring to encounter communion, so comunidade, and I can just feel moving even if it makes no sense. I sense I am alive. Not knowing exactly how I move, and I just listen the movements, moments, and from the sky to the ground, vibrating every single desire, eyes. My breath allows me keep moving. Eu respiro de corpo todo e isso me alimenta de vontade compartilhada. Comida as a whole body of breath. The botany of desire that inhabits my experiencing of becoming with manifests a possibility of becoming we. For acknowledging the not knowing as a knowledge itself. For more being with than necessarily presenting for. For being present for listening as a whole body act, for being open to the paradox, for changingness, for not changing, for us, volition, for trusting the invented words, for relating to each materiality in a calm or raging way, as the relationship itself. Voilà.
Sorry, I don't want to apologize. I just cannot hold this back. But for me, I visited Auckland in 2019, I think. And I actually got to see and recognize, maybe more than see, recognize some places. And I got so emotional.
That's beautiful. And that's beautiful because the notion of recognizing is quite dear for me as well. Like getting to allow this.
I will say, in looking at the time, I suggest, because I see Alice doing Alice, I was wondering if the next 8 minutes, and I will time us now, following Alice's prompts. I'm now instrumentalizing, Alice, your practice, if I may. Stop me if you don't want to do this. But thinking of how you listen and reflect, if you would reflect some of what you've noted back to us, and we could use that as prompts for reflection. But the key here is in lieu of both of your presentations and this idea of rhizomatic symbiotic relationships. What if none of us, for the next 8 minutes, 7, because then we have to transition to the next session, none of us is to complete a full sentence. So once a sentence starts, we can only add a part of a sentence, and the next person has to continue from there and build on, but cannot finish again. So your full stop can only be during, but not at the beginning or the end. Yeah?
I love that.
Cool. Okay. The timer is on.
I feel a heart in Alice's drawings, and it was beating.
The cervical point is a axis for
crossing time, different ways we get to recalibrate circulate ourselves.
The room that I inhabit with
the world that
is moving in all the world.
there is blood flowing right from one body to my mouth. Ooh.
Transmedial pluriform seasons passing over.
Fairy towers in
Being rather than busy. Ye.
being
plastic and mold it rider.
It is delicious to listen as we
Salted skins.
Like kelp in Wellington.
Acclimatization to a time
before, after.
in between the tip of the tongue that holds
Soil and rock and moss.
salinated,
Salty.
sweating,
Porous beings.
I can almost feel you. So close.
Basically, what we are doing is
Extending time, curves of presence alongside B-side.
B-side. You. Ooh.
In the 90s, you used to be able to get
a $1 beer from Art Cafe on High Street.
And you couldn't.
Shippa liquid stop in the 2018-ish.
Borders
30
bookstore.
seconds.
The last time that I saw the room that Pavle is in, I was in the room that Pavle is in.
Oh, this party is too short. Oh.
That was our time. Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah.
You.
Poor Marie.
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 Kakiteano.
We are in the same time again.
How?
That's all.
Amazing.
2 thumbs up.
Wow.
Is that all? All right.
Yeah, and Alice, now would be the time for you to transition us or introduce the next panel. That was behind
Oh, yes, they're coming
backstage. Backstage,
Yeah,
we
have a
were
little
talking about it
backstage
because
moment. I think Linda Knight is going to magically appear. We can all disappear, and Linda Knight is going to magically appear also from Nam in North Brunswick.
But maybe just to say officially, thank you to Val for co-hosting, and Janina and Adam for sharing, and Alice for being here and sharing and reflecting. And it was really a true pleasure to be here today. An honor.
Thank you.
And a great joy. Thank you.
Thank you. Goodbye, my friends.
Thank you. See ya.
Okay. Melly, it seems like we can start now.
Okay. Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to show our video briefly. So this is our video. Okay. Okay, so we are very excited for being in this space, and thank you for creating this opportunity to share these different kind of works, and to have an opportunity to work together with Melissa and learn about the other very interesting. Oh no, we're just starting, Linda. I'm just seeing the chat. Yeah, so I can wait. Linda, come on in.
Hello. I'm so sorry. I was trying to find the link.
No worries.
Hi, Linda.
Nice meeting you in person a little bit.
Yes, exactly. It's so lovely to meet you both. And I'm so sorry for being a bit late. It's I hope it's not too awful a time.
No, we're just starting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. So I won't take any more of the time up because you did such a great job of showing your first slide. But I will be back at the end of your presentation. So thank you. I'm
Okay.
looking forward to it.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so we are I am Catalina Hernandez Cabal and
I'm Ana Melissa Caballero.
Melissa Caballero. And I'm going to offer a brief introduction of how our space is going to work. Because in the spirit of creative encounters, we are going to keep this conversation into languages. So we are going to the talk is going to be structured as a conversation through our process, and it is going to be structured in main moments that were relevant for our talk. And I'm going to be speaking to them in English, and then Melissa is going to complement some things in Spanish, and then she's going to begin with some Spanish, and then I'll complement with my ideas in English, not necessarily to translate, but to have the conversation. The main points of each of the moments of our conversation are going to be on our little video in English. So hopefully that give you a sense of what's happening. And the video that we're going to be projecting is documentation of our process of over a year and a half of embodied study of gestures and the space that we now call that resonante, the space and the practice that we now call it resonante, that became resonante. So that was a little bit of the preamble. So cartography of a gesture. So why are we talking about cartography of a gesture and meeting in movement as a place and making place? So our process that as I said unfolded as resonante started with this desire to how to really, as the video is showing, take seriously the challenge of studying another person's gesture and their history through their gestures, and find histories of connection through movement, and how to do that really from a place of movement. And I did this. It was part of a project that I was on my dissertation research. I extended this invitation to several people, and it was with Melissa, with whom it became a sustained relational practice. And the challenge was, of course, that it was the middle of the pandemic, one, and second, that I was living in the United States, and Melissa right now is in Barcelona, at the time was in Colombia. So it was a challenge of how to dance together and really commit to the moment of to this practice, and dancing together while being in distance. So how to engage with the very intimate questions that are part of the study that I was processing, that I was developing, while being in movement, while being in distance. And it's important to note here that Melissa and I hadn't met. Another person introduced us. So this was like a new person. We were new to each other, and we were trying to figure out how to make this happen. So that is where how this process started, and we developed different. So we started to use creative scores that are right now shown in the screen, and used correspondence, and we started to use Zoom a lot, and then misuse Zoom in a way that it was functional for our needs. And all of this was a process of really truly meeting creatively, because again hadn't known each other, we hadn't moved together as dancers. So it was really a process of adapting all of the resources around us to be able to meet and to move together. So that's why what we call cartographies are not necessarily documentations of an existing place, but it is somehow the how our reflect a corporate this specialization, this making space our corporal reflection. So it is our corporal reflection and our embodied process and movement process made space through the tools that we developed in Zoom and in correspondence and in drawing. And so we're going to discuss a little bit now how this unfolded in the different stages. So Melissa is going to talk now about our first score that is already in the screen.
Hi, thank you, Cata. Bueno, el primer score, Architectures, es una invitación que surge a partir de Cata, de Catalina, en las que las premisas, digamos, inicia con el estudio como del propio cuerpo, donde las premisas como acciones físicas claras y contundentes para esta primera exploración eran las de empujar, sostener, alargar los esfuerzos con el propio cuerpo, buscar apoyos imposibles. Entonces, como este score inicia con el propio cuerpo, y en ese sentido empieza a expandirse con los elementos que tuviéramos alrededor del espacio. Por ejemplo, una mesa, una silla, una puerta, una pared, un cajón de madera. Entonces, claro, nos empezamos a dar cuenta que en este encuentro de, digamos, como de Zoom y de estar conectadas, empezó a surgir la necesidad de que nuestra interacción fuera lo más cercana y lo más real posible, ¿sí? Porque, digamos, en la experiencia de danzar juntas, pues uno, digamos, físicamente sabe que uno puede sentir el peso, las tensiones, la estatura, las caderas, los pies de la otra, y en este caso, como no lo teníamos, empezamos a usar diferentes dispositivos, como lo pueden ver en la pantalla, para empezar esta exploración con el score de Cata. Después de esto digamos, como esto visualmente empezó a generar espacios que podían ser transformados o rehabitados, ¿no? Por la otra. Y ahí es cuando nos dimos cuenta o nos fue surgiendo la necesidad de buscar, digamos, como cuerpos sustitutos, que empezaron, ¿cómo se hizo esto de los cuerpos sustitutos? Como screenshots de las conversaciones que teníamos y los colocamos como background para empezar a hacer esta exploración que ya veníamos haciendo, pero con los cuerpos que habíamos tomado como captura de pantalla. Entonces, ya no solamente era como esta intención mía con mi propio cuerpo, sino era esta intención con este cuerpo que teníamos de background en la videollamada. Y ahí nos dimos cuenta también que las posibilidades se ampliaron para bailar de alguna manera juntas y tener una experiencia mucho más cercana a nivel de percepción y de sensación, tanto así que la relación con el cuerpo y con el esfuerzo fueron mucho más claras a medida que íbamos teniendo esta, digamos, experiencia a través de los cuerpos sustitutos. Fue como desarrollamos arquitecturas. No sé si Cata quieras añadir algo adicional a...
No, I think that, yes, so it was a very interesting process, again, how to give some sort of materiality to our meeting. And it was very interesting to construct our space and given a sort of materiality to our practice, to our encounter, in a way that that only I think maybe art and this kind of creative processes of encounter enable, because it's really, as Melissa was saying earlier, when you dance with another person, you can really get to understand how they move and feel their weight. And so we were trying in this first score that Melissa was describing at the beginning, that the goal was how to find ways to push and to elongate some of your limbs, finding one when you're holding tension in one part of your body, how does tension allow you to release other parts. So it was a very muscular study that had to do with balance and with gravity. And usually you can do that when you do that with another person, you can understand and figure out how to navigate their bodies and maybe find places of support. So it was very interesting that we were able to construct some sort of somatic and kinesthetic experience we were trying to find some sort of somatic and kinesthetic experience of support and relationality and we create in the screen right now, you're seeing how we were able to sort of construct that space for each other, like to offer each other space, bodies to give support and to affect our movements in a very intentional way, in the same way that you find negative space when you're dancing with somebody. So we're trying to figure out what that could be. So and it became architecture for us to study. So that's why this core, we ended up calling it architectures. Yeah, so that was part of the first score. And then the score that Melissa created, so that was the second score. So I'm just going to, oh, this was fun. I'm sorry I had the video stopped so you could read the video. But yeah, this is our the videos demonstrating here how we are using each other's bodies. And here is Melissa with her own body, which is a beautiful opportunity that is not possible when you dance physically. So it was very interesting to be able to use our own bodies as our own architectures, going to kind of study our own positions and our own movements in this way. So the second score that we created came from Melissa's invitation to study movements that were narrated in this attention of studying movement and studying gesture and gestures that connect us with people that we love. She was making a reflection about her mother's movement and her relationship with pain. So we were studying these hand gestures and the relationship with muscular pain and pain in the hand joints and in las manos, in the joints, in the hands. And we were and this was a process, as you can see in the screen. We would meet and we would warm up together, and then one of us would hold a warm up and lead a movement practice, and this was like an hour long practice each time that we met. So when Melissa was leading the practice, we had these conversations about how the echo of the tension and kind of maybe the contortions and all of these things then were resonating in our body for 2 days or like the entire afternoon. So we were really feeling the echo of the movement study that came from Melissa's mom's gestures. So we were trying to figure out how to share that reverberation of tension and of sometimes more tender touch, how to share with each other in this movement practice. So we ended up working with drawing. So we approached to begin experimenting with what happens when we use this, as when Melissa was leading the practice, the movement practice. So like what happens if you use all of the tension, and what happens if what there's like more spasms, like more kind of uncontrolled movement. So we were trying to use this mark making, but at the beginning it was more one of like Melissa understood more as a representation, and I was just doing like crazy marks. And then we started to kind of organize using color and just allowing the mark making to kind of be a trace of the echoes of the movement. So we did that a number of times, and then we realized that what we were doing was actually, it was very interesting to see that when it began to emerge were actually sort of maps, some sort of cartographies that were inviting us to and here, let's see. Yeah, so they were maps that were kind of inviting us to go there and see what was happening, because they were starting to document, to give a testimony of those like embodied feelings and the conversation. So we thought, after doing it over and over again for a number of times, we thought that it was very interesting to document the process of drawing in itself. And so that's what we ended up figuring out. Melissa had like 3 cameras, and we showed our drawings to each other, and we realized that it was actually, yes, a cartography that were giving space and materiality to this very embodied process that comes from this genealogy of movement and gestures that came from Melissa's mother. So it was beautiful to witness it as a map, and then again using Zoom and the possibilities of just misappropriating tools, we were able to really investigate what those maps convey as space. So like how, like what the textures, and maybe even like the, like to have some sort of really kinesthetic and embodied experience of those spaces. And it was very interesting to find that as we were beginning to inhabit those maps as a space of movement, sometimes we would have conversations about the process before dancing, but it was very interesting that the space began to, the drawings also invited us to do specific movements that kind of echoed, so we could revisit the other person's experience by following their traces and their drawings. Yeah, so that is a little bit what I wanted to say. Melissa, if you want to complement.
No, creo que todo está, pero a mí hay algo de lo que dice Cata, el dibujo como herramienta, y es que para mí esto me pareció increíble porque fue un proceso metodológico también para plasmar metodológicamente, ¿no? Como estas sensaciones que ya lo mencionó Catalina, las sensaciones de las tensiones, tanto somáticas como kinestésicas, en un papel con colores. Tuvimos varias, como dice Cata, tuvimos una primer intento donde, bueno, yo interpreté una cosa, pero a medida que esto fue como también, a medida de los encuentros y a medida de esta necesidad de compartir estas sensaciones y que aún quedaran mucho más claras en el cuerpo de la otra, ¿no? Y cómo poder generar desde ahí movimiento, encuentro, danza, pues a mí me encantó esta metodología porque nunca había experimentado cómo colocar una sensación somática del cuerpo o de una tensión en mi mano en un papel, en un dibujo, y eso se convirtieron en trazos y en mapas, como dice Cata, también para guiar y para proponernos, o sea, para proponer una a la otra. Y claro, y cuando ya esto después nos compartimos el dibujo y lo colocamos como background nuevamente en esta sensación de, bueno, ¿y ahora qué va a pasar acá después de haber hecho esto? Pues como lo están viendo en pantalla, pues surgieron de ahí, la verdad, momentos muy, para mí como muy sensibles, en ese momento para mí fueron muy sensibles y creo que terminaron de como generar, no sé, como habitarlo mucho más profundo. Siento que es como eso lo que me permitió este trabajo metodológico a través del dibujo y de plasmarlo, ¿no? Que siento que eso para mí es importante, que quedó plasmado.
Yes, thank you, Meli. It was a beautiful, unique opportunity to really meet again in this space, and here I'm reminded of Tim Ingle's relationship of like discussion of lines and how places emerge, like the occur when people inhabit them. So this was a reference that I was thinking of because these drawings and as space and this what we're calling cartographies is a space that doesn't exist really, but emerged through our movement and through our repeated recurrent revisiting of that place. So now I'm going to talk about also how gestures sound, because we were doing this for like a year and a half, but like when we were like 6 months in, we realized that we had, first it was a movement study, like really a process of creative encounter without necessarily a goal, and then we realized that we had about 6 months worth of our weekly or bi-weekly meetings recorded, and then we had all of these very interesting experiments that starting to emerge with the drawings and with the screenshots with the architecture. So we decided that we could make a screen dance. So we started to be more intentional with costumes and with lighting and with staging, like creating like this different kind of stage and composing them together. And we collaborated with the sound artist and with two video artists that helped us because we're dancers mostly, that they helped us construct the gave us also some tools to be more intentional in certain things and created different images. So we decided that we're going to have a video, a screen dance, and we continued to think about what other somatic and kinesthetic element we could provide as the environment of our meeting, of our process. And that's where we realized that we wanted to create the soundscape needed to be very connected to the process. So I had a friend that had gifted me this device that is called Touch Me, and what was beautiful is this device. I don't know if some people have tried it, but if you touch it on one end and the other person touches one end and the other person touches the other end of the device, if you touch another person, it sounds. And what is very interesting is that it also reacts with water. So I'm going to play it while as I talk and pause so you can listen what it happened.
Lentamente los dedos con tensión, es decir, como que se van abriendo y lo sientes fuertemente, como una pulsación hacia adentro, una contracción hacia adentro.
So
Vuelves a abrir los dedos y vuelves a cerrar en contracción.
So we decided to do something like mirroring using water, since we were not together. It was again a surrogate body that was enable us to touch each other and dance together. And yes, so we were saying what better sound to give a soundscape to our process, if not the sound of the gestures that we have been studying for a year. So we followed this process where Melissa was, I had the device in my house in the United States, and Melissa from Colombia was leading a movement practice, similar to what we would do when we were starting the rest of the process. So she would lead the movement practice, and we were trying different ways in which the sound, if the touch sounds. So I'm going to pause so you can listen to her a little bit.
Esos latidos que generábamos, sí, como de las pulsaciones. Ajá.
And then we were exploring what is the different sound of a caress, like a standard touch, versus the more convoluted movement of tension and pain. Melissa, do you want to say anything about this?
No, yo pude conocer todo cuando Cata vino a Colombia y fue divertido después de hacerlo, pero lo que me encanta de eso fue cómo todo, o sea, como ya viendo la manera global, cómo el proceso fue adquiriendo como matices, texturas, sonidos, y esto fue como el elemento que terminó como de redondear todo ese proceso de más de 1 año y medio, cómo grabar los sonidos de la piel, ¿no? Porque también en un momento con nuestros artistas invitados y colaboradores, Paula se llama ella, Paula conmigo, que ella estaba en Colombia, grabamos cómo sonaba la caricia de la piel, ¿no? Que es un sonido como que se siente áspero, pero es una caricia, el contacto del roce del piel a piel, que también se usó como elemento sonoro en resonante, en el video experimental. Entonces, como todo esto, a la final es como cómo se van incorporando poco a poco estos elementos que a la final como que no engloban todo el proceso y también todo lo que fuimos descubriendo y encontrándonos y descubriéndonos la una a la otra y compartiendo estas experiencias, ¿no?
Yes, so I think that was kind of the meat of our presentation, because initially we planned for like 20-ish minutes, But I just also want to say that it was just a beautiful opportunity, a unique opportunity to meet someone so intimately without having ever met them. So really meet them in this emergent um, speculative space, and in drawing these speculative cartographies that then became, as you can see also in my background, that was a space where we met really in the movement, in the drawings. So and it was a unique moment in COVID, where in the pandemic, where although we would not have been able to dance together anyway because we were not in the same country, but it was a very unique opportunity to really meet someone very intimately, misappropriating all these tools and creating giving materiality and giving space, giving material space almost um to gesture, to sound, to touch, to tension. So that was part of the process, and I also want to thank Melissa publicly, because it was a moment where it was a lot of things were difficult, and it was through her committed curiosity to this process that we were able to kind of stay engaged and stay connected and do it. So, Melissa, do you want to say anything to end? I know that facilitators, Linda and Alice, the organizers, may join, but do you want to say anything to?
No, agradecer primero el espacio de Making Connections. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you, Kata. Thank you, Linda. Was interesting for me this whole process. Y queremos seguir con Kata, ¿no? Como haciendo esto, pues expandiéndolo y seguir trabajando juntas.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's just absolutely, it was such a fascinating project. And I was thinking, gosh, like how creative and inventive you both were, thinking through all those kind of restrictions and distances, and what an amazing use of your local place, but also the virtual place as well. Just I'm not surprised it's had such a lasting effect on you both, and that it's kind of perhaps brought, like you say, a new kind of closeness that perhaps you hadn't anticipated. It's just wonderful to see the work. Alice, you must have a lot to say about this. It's just wonderful.
Mi español es terrible, muchas gracias, Carolina. Ana Melissa, es muy bueno tu trabajo. It's very beautiful, your work. And I just think I was just noting, my name's Alice Longley. I'm at the University of Auckland here in Aotearoa, New Zealand. And our last panel, we were talking about touching across borders and finding ways to touch and connect across the world. Yeah. And Pavle Heidler and I, who were both in the last panel, we also had a Zoom, 2 dancers having a Zoom connection that I was supposed to be in Sweden with Pavle, and we worked for 2 years doing a very similar we did not physicalize, seeing the way that you worked with the scale of the body to the scale of the drawing, to see you inhabiting the world of the El Mundo dibujando, drawing, dibujo, yeah, to the inhabitation of it, and the way that you were able to mover en el movimiento micro, like the movement and the to inhabit physically in the choreographic, the micro gestures, and then to take the sensation and to evidence it together and to dwell inside each other's sensation. I thought it was just so skillful, the way that you took the way that you moved between the technology and the analog, like the actual, the felt, the sense, and the technical, the merging of that. I found it extremely moving. So, gracias.
Gracias. Melissa, were you able to follow everything?
Sí.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, thank you for saying that. And I think that one of what was most fascinating for us as Linda was saying earlier, is discovering that we were inside each other's physical sensations, and that became, and it was very interesting because when we were actually moving, I know, Alice, I know that you're also a dancer, and Linda, you too, and I've seen your work, and it is super fascinating to me. So as movers, and it was very interesting because, you know, when you're kind of in movement practice, your brain is there, and at some point, Melissa and I realized that we like that because we were dancing in Zoom and misusing the tools, and we just had our computers and our phones at home. When Melissa, because she works in a company in Colombia, she sometimes had a fancy camera, so she would sometimes use the fancy camera, but usually it was our phones. But it was very interesting when at some point one person, sometimes we were both dancing, but sometimes we would as a warm up, but sometimes we use the background, and the other person was witnessing, and we would take turns. So it was very interesting seeing each other and seeing ourselves suddenly being lost. Like, really, we forgot where we were, and we were really in the other person's drawing for like 10 minutes or 20 minutes. We forgot that we were in a different space and we were there. So that was a very powerful experience for me. Yeah.
I also found it very powerful to see your work inside this platform that DotDot, Kate Stevenson and Chris White and their team based in New York created this platform that we're in now, where we're able to have these live talks, and at the same time you can just at the click of a button move through a portal and see this body of artworks, and to see the way that you were working with the technical inside a platform that was kind of developed and developed as an artistic sharing platform during the pandemic. So it was really moving for me to see you inhabiting, and I did feel that sense of being lost in watching the videos, and to see you sort of being lost inside the drawing, what that scale enabled in the way that you were using the technology, and then thinking about people being lost inside the platform. Like was just to this moment in time where we're in this technology and what it allows for us in terms of innovating in our art form across geographies.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So will this be something you'll both continue now that, you know, borders are open and travel is more frequent and able, or has it become something rather than it being a necessity? Is it something now that you desire to do rather than you know, it's something that you kind of needed to do at the start?
Meli, do you want to answer? And I can help translate.
Sí. Bueno, ella está preguntando por si cómo seguimos el
Que si lo
proceso.
seguimos haciendo ahora, que no es una necesidad, sino ya que encontramos el gusto.
Sí, bueno, a ver, claro, porque nosotras estuvimos súper juiciosas y presentamos Resonante en Bogotá, en Colombia, hasta que yo me vine a Barcelona, ¿no? A estudiar mi máster. Entonces, ha sido un poco, desde que yo me vine, un poco más difícil los encuentros, pero la idea es poder, con el material que ya tenemos, seguir explorando desde ahí. Y bueno, pues la idea con Cata es poder también movilizar Resonante, pues porque fue como esa pequeña bebé que nació de nosotras y de todo este trabajo de pandemia. Entonces, la idea sí, solo que claro, los encuentros ahora por tema horarios es un poco más difíciles, pero seguimos insistiendo y queremos seguir insistiendo en estos encuentros. Creo que esa es como la respuesta.
So it was an interesting. So we have continued to work together, but we haven't been able to go back to movement study in the last year. We met in Colombia finally, physically, after 2 years of dancing together. We met in Colombia physically, and we launched our film in a small gallery, and we had the device in person. Sí. We were able to actually see how our touch sounds physically, not only with the water. And so we did that for a little bit, and when we met in person, and then Melissa went to Barcelona to start her master's. So it has been difficult to go back to the practice, but we have continued to dwell in the resonances of the process. So we have written about it. We're going to be publishing in a book on creative and artistic research about this. So we have continued to talk about it. But what Melissa was saying also earlier is, and now we're friends, obviously, and we know a lot about each other. And we have danced together in parties in Colombia. But so what we're saying is also that this was an opening that was fascinating and that we want to go back to dwell in there. We continue to see opportunities, and because we discovered so many things for 2 years of practice, and we have our 3-minute video or 4-minute video. So we definitely have these openings there, and we're just in a moment where like our lives right now are very full of other things, but it's definitely a space that we want to return to. We have dwelled in Resonante, and then we want to return to that to pull other processes of learning. Yeah.
Wow. Well, I hope you do. It's just really fantastic. And thank you again for kind of, and a special thank you, Selena, because I think it's 3 a.m. for you, isn't it? Something like
well,
that.
now because we moved to the summer schedule, it's 5. So it's not.
Oh, that's all right then.
Yeah. Yeah. So it was not too bad. Yeah, I'm glad that we changed the schedule. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's good.
Can I ask something? Is that the platform, the DotDot platform, Alice, you're saying it emerged in the pandemic as a necessity too?
The platform, they were sort of developing it in a more commercial way, and when the pandemic came, they were interested in creating it as an art space. And so I was having a show in Santiago, Chile, and we were just really unsure about whether that show was going to be able to happen. And so Kate was like, well, you can use this space to like we were like testing for each other. So they provided me with the platform, and the work that I was making in Chile was in collaboration with artists from across the world. And so we were like installing the work into the DotDot platform, finding out what the DotDot platform could hold through trying things and breaking things and experimenting. So it was throughout the whole pandemic, it really gave me a lot of hope. This idea that I could be working on this show in Chile, but even if I was totally unable to go to Chile, or if the show was totally unable to happen, which was very likely, then there'd always be a home for the work and a place to bring people together and experiment. And it's just been so moving to be like, it's amazing for me that we can be doing this now and alongside that artwork.
And it's a place where we wouldn't have gone without necessity, as Linda was saying. And now I saw, by the way, both of your works, and at least your work with the moving dots, and I am absolutely obsessed. I will email you later about that.
Please, both of you. I would love to stay in touch, and I work a lot across Spanish and English, and I'm nervous to speak in español en este momento para practicar mi español whenever I can.
No te preocupes, mi inglés también es el mejor.
But so DotDot it's amazing in what the technology enables, that even if it was new and intimidating, like in a way that now it's like the construction, or like the dwelling in the gesture, or like this like inefficient mappings, as Linda says. So it's I'm very glad to have learned about DotDot through you, both of you. So thank you.
Oh yeah, and if you wanted to work with this platform again, we're still exploring and experimenting and testing, and so it's possible we could hold another mini moment and bring our work together and share it across our spaces. Yeah, it would be wonderful.
It would be, and thank you again. And I guess this is a wonderful way to say thank you to DotDot, to both Chris and Kate, and obviously Alice, yourself, and Jeffrey Holdway, who we don't see but kind of keeps everything running. Thank you, Jeffrey, so much, and your absolute fantastic generosity. It's just really important to say thank you to both of you too, and also just want to say thank you. I'm not sure who's out there because we can only see each other here, but for those of you who might be in the audience still, and certainly all the artists who have brought their works onto the platform for the event, it's also huge thanks to everyone and the presenters both on Tuesday and today. People have kind of got up at some, crazy hours to to come and be a part of this, and also stayed and been in the audience and taken the time to visit. It's just really wonderful, and thank you. And
I think Cody and Denise and Adam are there now, so hi and thank you.
That's fantastic. And if you want to see some of the stuff from the rest of the festival and also some from this week, obviously Alice has the web platform that is linked to DotDot as well, Mapping Porous Borders, and we also have Mapping Future Imaginaries website as well, so people can visit both those spaces and see more of the fantastic work. And thank you again. I don't know if you want to say anything, Alice, as well, but
just Catalina and Melissa, I was so moved by your presentation, and it just made everything feel this whole evening connecting with friends across the world in our presentation and then seeing your work, and it was so moving to see the space enlivened with a beautiful artistic friendship in that way. And thank you, Linda, for the collaboration between Aotearoa, New Zealand, and Melbourne in Australia. New Zealand is quite geographically isolated, and I am trying to cut back on my long haul flights, and so it's wonderful to be able to feel these connections from my bedroom.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Linda and Alice. Linda, for creating this space and this opportunity for us was beautiful to be here. Thank you. I'll for sure reach out to both of you later.
Yes, we'll be in touch too. We'll be in touch. And thank you for a wonderful presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Good morning, good night.
Good night. Good morning.
Yeah.